Hey guys, Preston here. Welcome back to another video. Greetings from quarantine, right? So, all sports have been canceled, basically, so that's not fun. But it's NFL free agency, so I got something to look forward to. It's been pretty eventful free agency, too. Especially, this is a pretty loaded free agency class, at least in my mind, kind of recent memory. I feel like this is one of the bigger free agency classes we have had, especially with quarterbacks. But today, I'm not going to talk about those guys. I'm going to talk specifically about the Steelers franchise tagging Bud Dupree. Probably going to make a bunch of videos for a lot of the big trades, maybe some of the small ones. Might go team by team at some point. Kind of if you have any thoughts about how I should do it, let me know. But we're going to start with this. Bud Dupree got franchise tagged by the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's their one tag they could use, and it is $15.8 million against the cap this year. So, it's a pretty high cap hit, but, edge players make that much. It'd probably be what he'd make, hopefully a little less if they actually get a contract done with him. It's an interesting thing. I know some Steelers fans weren't fully sure on if it was the right move or not, because it's just a weird... For example, on SteelersWire.com, you have about, it's like 44% are saying no, or they just shouldn't have used the tag at all. But 55% said yes. It was a tight kind of deal. My math's a little bit off, but who cares? So some fans were kind of curious about this because obviously, I'll bring up some of the stats here. Bud Dupree had a great year last year. It's hard to deny that. 68 tackles, 11.5 sacks. He definitely had some tackles for a loss, too. I know that much. 1 sec. Yeah, so he had, 11.5 sacks and 16 tackles for a loss, 17 QB hits this year. This is his breakout year, you would say, which that's part of the problem is it's some of these guys where they play kind of mediocre until their last year of their deal. I think a similar comparison would be Frank Clark, I believe, did that, but he might show kind of the reason why it'd be okay to do this move is because he's worked out so far. He hasn't really fallen off a cliff again right after his breakout year. He's just kind of kept improving. And that's where it's interesting with Bud Dupree because of his numbers before this, he nearly doubled his sack total this year alone. No year, excluding 2019, did he ever hit double-digit sacks. His actually career high in the season coming into 2019 was 6 in 2017. So he's always... been halfway away from double digits. And this year he had 11.5. And so, obviously, this year was his best year by far. Like I said, it's a breakout year. He did move. I think at the beginning of his year, he was on the right or the left. I'm sorry. And I know he swapped with TJ at one point, and that helped. And even when he was getting the 6 sacks, the 5.5 sacks, and the 4.5 sacks, the Steelers still led the league in sacks all 3 years. But getting pressure from both sides was huge. It was a big part of the defense's success this year, and I think Pittsburgh kind of wanted to ride with it. The only thing is I just don't know if I'm for putting that much money into the 2 outside linebackers because we know it's almost a guarantee that TJ Watt is going to make record-breaking money. He'll definitely be the highest paid edge outside linebacker player in the NFL. And so do you really want to commit however much that's going to be, probably 20-something million, plus like 16 or 17 million per year to Bud Dupree? That's a big chunk of cap space for your 2 outside linebackers. I think they might be better off drafting a young kid, maybe in the second round, their first pick this year, or maybe next year if you have to. You can do next year with your first-round pick and use Bud's tag since you already tagged them this year just to hold over. And then you have the one super expensive elite edge rusher in TJ Watt and then a young, decent guy. I feel like that's what they should do. I don't know if they will. I'm just not for putting that much money into your 2 outside linebackers. I think that's a lot of cap space in one position, and I usually think they need to spread it out a bit. Dupree will get, if he gets a big deal, then you're going to have even more cap issues. The Steelers' cap is always tight. Big Ben's going to make $40 million next year after restructuring. They'll have to pay Minka Fitzpatrick eventually. They'll have to pay Bud Dupree. They'll have to pay Devin Bush eventually. And it's like, can you afford all these guys? Like, to me, if you got to keep any of those dudes, you're keeping Minka and Bush all day over Bud Dupree. They're different. You already have an elite outside linebacker. That's what worries me. I am excited that he'll be on the team. I think he will do well. and I think that will help a lot, but I do think it wasn't needed, and it created a lot of problems. They cut 3 players and restructured a crap ton of people. Luckily, the belief is the salary cap's going to jump up a big chunk next season, which I think is why they've been confident enough to restructure. They always restructure, but they restructure more than usual, and they even restructured old guys like Ben, who only has 2 years on his deal. They restructured him, which goes to show they're confident that the cap will rise up pretty high next season, because usually you don't restructure people with that little term left, because usually when you divide it up evenly, it's so they all go up a bit. But when there's only 2 years, that means Ben's went up a decent chunk in the restructure. So I'm guessing they're confident with cap space. I mean, it's a tough thing for me. Do I think he'll fall off? I certainly hope not. I mean, hopefully he can get at least like 8 or 9 sacks. I'd be happy with 8 or 9 sacks and continuing to get pressure, right? Pressure is super important. It's a bit underrated. A lot of times they only count sacks. But as long as he's getting to the quarterback, I'll be happy. I mean, he forced 4 fumbles this year too. He was kind of doing everything. And it was just, obviously it was a great year. Hopefully now that he has a tag, he's got good money. Granted, it's still tag, so maybe he will stay hungry. But I don't know. Sometimes guys fall off. Hopefully he won't. He's still young. He's 26 right now. Probably maybe be 27. I don't know when his birthday is. But, I mean, he should do good. He's relatively healthy. He didn't play the whole season. He only played 7 games in 2016. But other than that, he's played pretty much entire seasons except 17 where he played 15. But I believe 17, the Steelers' record was so good that almost everyone sat out the last game of the year. So he's relatively healthy, so you don't have to worry about that. It's just his tape, it's 4 bad years and 1 good year. So we'll see how it goes. I am excited to have him back as a Steelers fan. Oh, sorry for throwing that. It's just a street hockey puck. I don't know. I needed something. But it's an interesting move. I think he will do well. I don't think he will fall off a cliff. And the decision will be, after he has another good year, do you pay him and commit a bunch of money to your 2 outside linebackers, or do you let him walk or try to tag and trade or something and get a young kid in there who's cheaper and can put up decent numbers? Even if the kid only gets like 6 or 7, that'd be great, considering TJ Watt's good for like double digits every year. Cam Hayward's still a beast. Tuitt healthy will be a big deal. This defense, it's not like Bud Dupree makes or breaks this team, because like I told you, they led the league in sacks even when he was getting 4.5, 6, and 5.5. So we'll see how it goes. But either way, I am excited for Bud Dupree. I hope he balls out this year. So let me know what you thought about the Steelers tagging Bud Dupree. If he left the Steelers, where do you think he'd fit? Is it like if you're a fan of a different team, would you want Bud Dupree on your team for like $17 million a year? Would you take that deal? That's my question for now. Stay tuned for more free agency videos. I'm sorry I dragged this out a bit. I kind of said the same points a lot. I tend to do that. But I'm going crazy here, so who cares? Quarantine, right? Nah. But, yeah. Let me know what you think. I mean, Bud Dupree, good player. I won't lie, I kind of despised him for his first 4 years because he was a dud. He was almost Jarvis Jones XS. He's a little better than Jarvis Jones, but it wasn't much better until this year. But if he can keep playing like that, I won't be too mad if we have him. I trust the Steelers cap guys. They always find a way to make it work. So I guess we'll see how it all goes. All right, thank you for watching. This is KMA Preston signing out. See you guys later. Make sure to subscribe for more NFL free agency content, sports in general, and also some gaming stuff. Thank you for watching.